When I tell people that I serve as my tabletop RPG group's primary game master, I usually get one of three responses. Cool! I am currently a level 8 Blurgmancer in this other system. Can I play too? Me too! I started running for my group once. That was 12 years ago! That's so sad that you're the forever GM. Don't you want to play? That last one gets me because I am playing, right? Yes and no, as most people see playing a TTRPG as having a singular character who you play and from whose perspective you interact with the world. The other side of that being the person who runs the show, bringing the world the others play in to life, creating challenges and experiences for the rest of the group. To me, running the game is just as fun as playing, and it's time to take a trip around the table to see from both sides of the Game Master's screen. Because today we are going to see which to choose between running and playing. Instead of going into a full pros and cons, I feel like I'm going to be able to do a little bit better explaining, breaking down the choices and perks that lead people to choose what they do. Starting with the playing camp. Several factors lead people to choose playing. One such reason is the time commitment. A lot of time goes into preparing for a game session for both sides, but I promise that your GM has put in a lot more time on average to session prep than a player does. Players are expected to show up with their character and are responsible for making sure that that one aspect is ready to go. The Game Master, on the other hand, is going to be in charge of the rest. This also means, though, that the players get attached to their one aspect, and they get to develop that character long term, becoming experts on how they interact with the world, whether that be in conversation or challenge. Playing also means you get another big asset: other players! This is a cooperative game, meaning that a squad of a few folks can cover each other's weaknesses and make their strengths even greater. Getting to succeed and grow as a community of friends and share stories with people is one of life's greatest joys, and knowing that it was a collective accomplishment makes it feel even better. Depending on what system you're running in, the name for the person who runs the game will vary. Sometimes they'll be a dungeon master, other times they'll be the keeper of mysteries or secrets, or a storyteller. Generally, the blanket. Regardless, there is only one wrong reason to run a TTRPG. It breaks my heart to hear I run because no one else wants to.
Kaboom!
Find something to love about it, or your burnout shall consume us all. Sorry, I'm just passionate. What I mean by that is any work done out of obligation will suffer for it, but what can be done to make it desirable? Running the game gives the opportunity to have greater control over the majority of aspects, including setting, tone, or even the system being played. This affords people who have specific needs for lines and veils to make sure the setting and content is acceptable and comfortable for them. Running a game also allows for as much creativity as the GM would like, with many systems having a plethora of pre-constructed adventures to give any sort of story and gameplay that could be wanted. And if you are feeling especially spicy, there's always homebrewing your own story and content. That said, it does take knowing the system you pick well enough to make informed decisions, and having prepped enough or being able to improv enough to make sure the pace of the session does not bottom out. While this isn't your job alone, dear Game Master, though, you will also find yourself acting as an arbitrator and negotiator if the need arises, making sure that the party is doing well and that they are doing the most important thing: having fun. I did want to take a little bit of time to address something that is a bit of a hotter topic, and there may be some in the audience who've caught hints at this. There is a notion in some circles that someone can win a tabletop RPG in a specific way. I've heard of DMs saying that they can only win if they're destroying their party or causing some form of harm that the players are meant to overcome. Others think that their character's goal is to satisfy some obscure niche power meta, to abuse the rules as written, and create an unstoppable force of nature despite the GM's careful planning. At the cost of sounding a little less than neutral, these are harmful ways to consider playing any game. Unless the group unanimously vote that that particular game is going to operate on these principles of ruthless us versus them dichotomy, then it's probably best to avoid this kind of thinking. Personally, I find these practices used almost exclusively to justify toxic behavior. And I hate to think of anyone at my tables as being my opponent in a game that I have to win. Putting it all together, running and playing tabletop games exists in a symbiosis. Without a GM to run, players have to go to other media, and often they don't have the same appeal. GMs creating a massive world without players to throw wrenches into carefully laid plans and letting them organically evolve situations are writing a novel. The game Monster of the Week has one of my favorite quotes in its principles for how a good keeper should be. Play to see what happens. Be a fan of the hunters. At their core, tabletop games are meant to be shared, experienced, and loved as a community, and it takes a little bit of everyone to have the best story imaginable. I think I'm going to have to wrap this up here before the inspirational music starts playing. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you've learned a little something and this helps inform a decision that you get to make soon. Anyway, I'm Sakana, this is True Neutral. Have a great day.